Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Crelate's Web Winter Feature Release webinar. I'm Tim. I'm with the Customer Success team at Crelate. Really excited to show you guys all of the new features that are coming. I'm going to give everyone just maybe another minute and a half to kind of get in and get settled. But for those of you who haven't joined us for a webinar in the past, on the right-hand side, there's a spot for questions. As I'm showing some of the features that are coming out, as I'm going over some of the things that we're about to release, feel free to ask some questions. I have Ian Remington in the audience who can field some of those questions in chat and then hopefully get some out in front of the group as well. Ian, are you there?
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks again for attending the webinar here. So as Tim noted, just keep firing those questions. We'll try to actually get to some of those live on the call and do our best to answer as many as we can here. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2019. I hope everybody's New Year's off to a great start. Really excited to get rocking and rolling at Crelate. We have a lot of things coming out this year, a lot of new initiatives, always a ton of features. For those of you guys who have been with us for a while, you know that we do a lot of feature releases here. So this year's going to be no different. We got a lot of stuff planned. But I hope all of your years are off to a great start. That being said, I also hope your week's off to a great start. Happy Monday. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if this pops through for everybody, and we'll go ahead and get started. I want to dive in. This webinar should take about 30 minutes. We have a couple of features to go over. A couple of them we're going to talk through, and one of them in particular I'm going to show a couple of ways that I want to use it because it's a very powerful feature inside of Crelate. It's a very requested feature, and looking forward to just showing you all the ways that I can think of to use it and hearing all of the creative ways that you guys want to end up using it. So let's dive right in. Quick sanity check. Ian, are you able to see my screen okay?
Yep, looks all good from here.
Fantastic. All right. So as always with every release, a lot of engineering updates. So we've made some performance enhancements on the back end, hopefully make some things faster. But one of the big things we wanted to cover with that is the fact that there are new database backup options in the API. And this is going to be particularly attractive to those users who want to use the API to get database backups that may transfer to other systems or maybe a data warehouse that your company uses, or even reports engines and things like that that may make use of some of the endpoints for the API. So there's brand new options for you to do your entire database backups through the API now. It follows the same rules structure as the current database backup. For those of you guys who may not be familiar, you can do your own database backup inside of Crelate. It'll back everything up in a downloadable file, oftentimes used for the same thing. But through the API, it can all be done, using a different avenue now. So if you wanted to take your data and push it anywhere else, maybe every 30 days or something like that, maybe, again, the data warehouse, backups, doing your own database backups, storing them in your own data warehouses is a thing that many companies do. So an option now through the API to make that process just a little bit easier on you guys. And that's for our pro and business users, pro business and enterprise users can do that. Option to be able to add attachments. So if you wanted to back up all of your data with the attachments, feel free to do that as well. There's an option for that in the API. All right. I'm going to pull up the next feature because I want Ian to actually talk about this. Ian works very closely with the development team, and they've been planning a lot of mobile updates for a while now. So we have some mobile updates. The exciting thing about these mobile updates that we're about to go over is that they are available to you right now. So they are released actually a little bit earlier than the next set of features that I'll show you guys. Now, the release date, and I meant to go over this at the beginning, the release date for this release is going to be this Friday night. So you guys will have all these features next Monday when you log in, all the ones that we're about to go over, minus this cool mobile app, which is out now. So Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit of a recap for some and sort of a what's coming for others. So we're actually in process of transitioning over to a new mobile app. So for those of you as Crelate customers right now, you might be familiar with our current app. And some of you actually may even be familiar with the Crelate Connector app. Basically, it was inspired initially here and centered and catered for our SMS customers. So those looking to send text messages, obviously when you're not by your desktop and you need a mobile device to do so. So we made this available here relatively recently, but we're actually expanding and transitioning, as you see here on the next slide, to bring the whole app, so the whole app over to the Crelate connector here. So basically, as constituted right now, we've transferred over contacts and text messages. We'll be expanding new features. So constant requests that we'd seen previously. I want to create records from my mobile app. I want to have more, of an interactive experience. We'll definitely continue to evolve upon this over time and just allow for a greater ease of use than the current experience. So in the app today, it is a read-only version right now outside of the text messaging platform. So you're able to view all texts, as you see here, right from the dashboard homepage. You can pull in to quickly view and navigate all those messages. But we are going to be transitioning and then ultimately reaching parity from the older mobile app, and of course adding over all your job opportunities, your sales opportunities, company profiles, everything like that will be in there. This is what we have in right now, kind of an expanded portion of a contact profile, so you can still view all those activities, take a look at all the details, notes, tags that you may have affiliated with a record. So really excited to continue to progress upon this, get it out of sort of its beta and infancy state now, and push it into a full mobile client that you can ultimately use going forward. So definitely keep a lookout for this. In future releases, we'll actually be trying to touch on this as we continue to update it. So just to kind of recap, right now it's really just a kind of a read-only version of the mobile app, but we will be transitioning and reaching full parity of the existing app, just to give you all the functionality in a much easier to use format, with options that you haven't previously had. So here's just a couple of screenshots that are actually live in the environment right now, so you can go ahead and check those out. And then, as I noted, just look forward to those updates coming. But I think that's about a wrap on the mobile app on my end.
All right, now that is a different. There are currently two mobile apps on your respective app stores. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. So right now we have the Crelate Talent mobile app, which is the app that you guys are probably all familiar with. This is actually called the Crelate Connector. So again, initially created for SMS purposes, but we saw the need and request from a lot of you guys to actually just build an entirely new mobile app. So we figured we might as well, while we had the platform available on this Crelate Connector, to go ahead and begin transitioning everything on over to that. So yeah, you'll have two apps sort of for now, but everything will be ultimately transitioning over to that Crelate connector. So the talent, will still be there, but all future updates and things like that will be ultimately made to the Crelate connector.
Very good. So it's basically you have, and you guys can keep using the Crelate Talent mobile app currently, making interview notes. I like to say it gives you the cool voice dictation to be able to dictate notes and things like that. So please continue to use that. Eventually, all of the content on that app will be ported over to the new app, along with a whole bunch of new stuff that we're planning. So you can feel free to leverage the current app right now to do anything that you need to do in regards to your database. And then ultimately, if you want to be able to SMS or text from the app, you can use the connector, and then also check as we're bringing a lot of the features over there and expanding on the features. So big push for this quarter is to really have a brand new and expanded mobile experience. All right. So any questions about that, Ian, that you see out there?
No, just the one that I think you helped to clarify there, just on the differences between the two apps and kind of where we're headed. So I think we're all good there.
Awesome, fantastic. So this next feature I'm about to show you guys is kind of our first feature, a big a big push for or I want to say quarter one. I always say quarter one. A big push for 2019 for Crelate is automation. Those of you who we've spoken to recently, you've probably heard us talk about things like our rules engine that we're developing, and different things that you can use to automate the more mundane processes in recruiting to give you guys more time, pounding the phones and doing what you guys do best, and that's recruiting. So some of the features that you'll see come out with each release are going to be related to automation, and there's going to be a brand new tab inside of your settings that's called automation. So when you log in, you guys will see this next Monday. And we're going to be developing a set of requested rules, but ultimately you'll also have this rules engine sometime in 2019 that you'll be able to kind of create your own automated rules inside of the application. And that's where it's headed. But one of the rules that we're releasing with this release is very requested amongst our user base. And this is the ability to for teams to be able to expire ownership based upon a trigger that you set. So what I've set here by clicking enable is I'm saying, hey, my contacts, they have an ownership, basically the recruiter that's working with them. And that's just how I work inside of my firm. Now, after 90 days, if nobody's done anything, or the person who's currently working with a candidate hasn't done anything, let that ownership expire. And here you can see my trigger and my time limit. So you can customize your trigger. Maybe it's reached out. Maybe we haven't reached out to this person in a week, so they lost their chance or something like that. Let the ownership of this record expire. And part of being able to log this kind of automation, just in general, inside of a database, is that you want to see and be able to report on times when this has happened, because ultimately you're going to come to a record inside of your database and it's going to have an owner on it, and you're going to wonder how many times that expired, what might have transitioned, what may have taken place to allow the current owner to have ownership of that record. And that's just for this one rule. But I can click view history here and I can see all of the times that's changed and been updated. So I can report on the expiration of this ownership. Now, I meant this kind of automation, again, is going to be a theme in 2019. You guys are going to see quite a bit of this, and then ultimately the ability to customize a lot of different automation that you guys want to based upon your workflows and your activities and things like this. This just happens to be one that's we hear a lot of requests for, so we wanted to get this in and kind of lay the framework for those future automation features that we want to release. Before I move on, Ian, any questions on that?
No, just kind of a quick question, but in regards to Tim's point, someone had a question of kind of regards to what's coming, but we'll definitely keep you guys up to date. This is going to be a big piece of 2019 regarding more automation capabilities. So as we learn more and we have more of a solution in regards to truly a clear picture of what's coming here, we'll definitely keep you guys up to date and of course host further webinars detailing this feature.
We absolutely will. And you can always go to crelate.com/roadmap. We publish our roadmap, what we're currently working on, what we plan to release. So you can think of it as, we're trying to give our users and our interested parties, an idea of what we're working on, what we want to bring out. I always tell people that, and you guys who have been on the phone with me probably know, we have grand designs for Crelate. The releases aren't slowing down, they aren't stopping. So we want to keep on pulling things into the app, and you guys are big contributors to that. Our user base lets us know exactly what they need to solve for. They let us know, hey, I saw a software or an app that did something. It's great. We want to be able to solve for things like that. Or, we're having a big problem. We're unable to XYZ. So we want to be able to solve the problems that you guys have as recruiters. So please keep that feedback coming. We're actually going to talk a little bit about just feedback at the end. We'll also talk about things that are coming in future releases. But I want to take a big chunk of our time here to talk about the bigger feature that's coming inside of this release. Now, last year, I think it was in the spring of 2018, we released activity forms. So for those of you who don't know, we now have the ability to, on any event or activity that's taking place inside of your database, you have the ability to create a prescriptive form to use with that event. So if I'm doing a recruiting call, I have questions that I'm asking. If I'm doing a job order intake, if I'm doing some business development and I'm talking to, one of my targets at a potential prospective company, I'm kind of doing a call with them, and I can fill out forms. And these forms are stored inside of Crelate. So whenever you complete whatever event and you use one of these forms, you have the ability to store them as documents that you use for emailing, of course, to have the Q&A for the history. But one of the more unique aspects is every question that you configure inside of Crelate is searchable individually. So if I have a candidate intake form that I filled out, each one of these questions that I've configured is searchable individually. So I can say in a period of time or forever who's answered a certain way to a certain question that I've asked, or they've been asked maybe on an application. The very same thing happens with your applications that you're using on your jobs. And these are all features that you guys have and can leverage today. The feature that we've built here takes this a step further and begins to update the records when you do this, or self-updating records when the candidate applies and things like that. So we have some brand new field types here. So if I'm sorry, let me open my candidate intake. If I'm looking at a question that I ask when I'm doing a candidate intake, and I'm asking, are you currently looking? I have different pick lists that I can choose: single choice, multiple choice. We've always had dates and values, as well as, of course, text. We also have rated answers, and we have the ability to ask a yes or no question. I'll show you how these behave for me here in a second. But these different answers that they're answering here can now map to their records. So when they fill this out, or when your recruiters are filling this out, or when your salespeople are filling this out while they're on the phone with candidates and clients, it's also doing things like updating corresponding fields on the contact record. So if I'm on the phone here with Kyle, and I'm doing a recruiting call, I click my recruiting call button and my form pops in. So I have this set up to automatically pop in and be visible when I'm doing this call. And I'm going to answer a couple questions here. What are you qualified? I'm going to say this person's, it's a great guy. I'm going to be really vague here. His qualifications are that he's a great guy. How many years of experience do you have? I got 10 years in the industry. Are you currently looking? I can see that this is one of those new choices here. Yeah, I'm available for work. What are you currently making? I currently make 98K, but it would be great to get a bump. What are your salary requirements? I'd like to make 125 plus. Are there any other roles that interest you? Again, just going through the configured questions that I threw together. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being a front end or a back end dev, maybe even a tester. I have another section here. Are you open to roles that require travel? Sure. How about relocating? Great. If so, where do you want to relocate? And I have some locations plugged in here. I wouldn't mind relocating to New Jersey, New York, or even Pennsylvania. And then I have the final part of my little form here is I have a recruiter assessment. On a scale of 1 to 5, what are we rating this person? As a 5-star candidate. Gave me some great answers. But as I close that, it now updates the contact record with all of those fields individually being searchable. So I can see, of course, the date, time, ownership stamp for when this took place and everything that was answered. It still generates the document that I can use to send along with a resume in a submittal, or send to a coworker, or have as a hard copy somewhere. But now the new thing that it does is it now updates the contact record, and each one of these fields is, again, individually searchable. So I can see that it's updated what I call my status field, where I can tell that this person's seeking employment, they're available. So Tim talked to him at 2:17 p.m. on the 14th of January, and this person said that they were available and looking for work. We rated him a 5-star. He's got 10 years of experience here. He currently makes 98K. He wants to make 125K. He's interested in a couple different role types. And I actually map that what are your qualifications down here to, the description area. So you can choose on a field by field basis when you're asking questions to someone, or you're filling out these forms for any reason. to update the record so that the fields are visible on the record and they're individually searchable. You can also see these fields in a grid and column view. So this is popular amongst, people who like to, maybe I have my candidate, what do they call that thing? Candidate rating. Yeah, I just called it rating. Maybe I have my stars here and I want to sort by my stars in a grid and column view. So I can see here, from greatest to least to how are we ranking our candidates. So each one of these fields is available in the grid as well as, obviously on the contact record or the corresponding record. So you're able to do these forms, complete these forms, and they're able to update the contact record. Now, if you ever do it again, a month from now, we get Kyle back on the phone, and he's answering the questions a bit differently. Maybe we made a placement, and we're seeing how it's going. Any scenario that you guys can dream of that you come in contact with every day. But we're on the phone with Kyle again, and he's answering these questions a bit differently. And he's saying, now I'm currently making, 150K, but I'd like to make 175K plus. Whenever you answer a question on these forms that is going to update something that you've already done, one of the most important things when talking about mapping data is to avoid data loss. You guys know that we take pretty strong measures to reduce the amount of data loss that can happen inside of a database by not doing things like cascading information and overwriting and things like that. So when you close this, you now have the ability to, you'll see a very familiar, if you guys have ever merged a record, you'll see a very familiar merge record where you can say, we're going to go ahead and overwrite those two fields. And now they'll overwrite on the record, but you also still have that point in time in which, hey, we've had two recording calls with Kyle here, and the first one he answered this way, and the second one he answered this way. So it's the ability, flip that. The first one he answered this way, and the second one he answered this way. So you have the ability to still have that data for the point in time in which you captured it, but you also have the option of updating it over time to update the fields to be more accurate. But you can still say, hey, let me see all the times I've spoken to this person and asked them these questions in the history of knowing them, maybe in the 10 years that I've worked with Kyle. And you could see kind of the evolution of some of those fields. Now, the forms can be used, I mentioned, on any event. So if I have an opportunity that I'm working on and I want to do the very same thing, I click my sales call, I kind of have my job order intake. Tell me a little bit about the position. This is where I would put in my JD or my requirements or, whatever I would want to use to answer that. What do you want to pay this person? Well, we'll pay him, $72K a year. When would you want them to start? They could start, ASAP. We'll say February 1st. Real quick, any other jobs you guys might be looking for in the future? So I kind of have, segue this to get some more information about the client or, keep them engaged. I also have some questions internally for the recruiter. What's our standing fee agreement with the company? We have a 15% fee agreement on file, that type of thing. And it'll update the record on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, this one was already done, but you have the ability to use this for, your any kind of form or any kind of event that you guys would like to use it for. So I showed you quickly a job order intake form and a candidate intake form. Do the very same thing. Maybe it's business development day and I want to come in and pull up my business development targets, and I'm on the phone with, my contact here, and I'm doing one for companies where I'm asking, different information about the companies, and I actually have a different form that they can fill out, on this particular activity. So you have the ability to wire up these forms in any way that you like to. I'm looking forward to jumping on some calls to see the creative ways that people come up, what you guys come up with to use this. I've heard things like, this would be great for, post-placement invoicing stages and things like that. There's a lot that you guys can configure inside of Crelate and have forms to make sure that data is captured. One of the questions, and I'll just do a quick FAQ, can we make questions required? You can. So if this is a prescriptive way of making sure that your recruiters are asking or answering certain questions as they're on the phone with a candidate or client, you can make fields required and questions required and things like that. This also works on application. So if for those of you who publish to your website and the job boards, if I wanted to quickly pull up my very poorly crafted career portal for this demonstration here, but if I pull this up and I answer these questions, these also map to the contact when they come in. So show me who's applied and they were willing to relocate, or show me who's applied and selected a couple different options for what I ask what languages they code, or what describes your current employment. They're currently under contract. Maybe I'd ask some more questions about that or something like that. So your applicants come in also. You have the ability to now map their responses to the contact record when they apply to your jobs. So you guys can create, as you have the ability to integrate your jobs with your website if you want your candidates to come in, but you also have the ability to have a general consideration. So a lot of people will use this to connect with us, send us your info. We'll let you know about future job searches. Maybe we attach a form of questions that they fill out with that. Now they're just inputting themselves and answering some questions about themselves as a candidate, and they're putting themselves directly in our database, and they've already kind of given us a ton of information that's mapped to the contact record, and it's all indexed and cataloged for search. So every field that they fill out, you can then search on. So let me pause for just a second there. I gave you guys a ton of information. Questions out there, Ian?
Yeah, just a couple, just to solidify for those of you who had, hopped on a few minutes late. So this release that Tim's showing set to debut right now this Friday night. So the 18th is right now when this is set to be scheduled for launch. Just to solidify that, we had a couple questions come through. Other than that, I think we should be all good. We've answered a couple internally. Certainly keep those coming as we go here.
All right, fantastic. So the evolution of that feature. This what I just showed you is going to be out on Friday. You have the ability to create your forms like you have. You are able to create your application forms for your jobs. It still generates hard copies of the documents, but now it can update certain aspects of the contact record as you answer them. The next evolution of that, which is coming this year, is the ability to take these forms and send them to people. So imagine you get an email in your inbox that says, "Hey, I saw that you applied for my job. Please tell me a little bit about yourself." And they click on it and they fill out a form, and then it updates the candidate or the client or anybody that you'd like to inside of the database. So right now we have activity forms, which were released last spring. Now we have activity forms that map to fields on a contact record, and the next evolution of this is going to be externally facing activity forms that you can send out or post a link to or something like that, where someone will be able to come in at any time and update their information that you may have on file for them. So a lot of times the requirement that I hear is, or the more of a pipe dream, because I don't know of any system that has this. It'd be great for candidates to be able to come to our website and send us updates about themselves. So this would accomplish things like that. So that's the evolution of that coming this year. I would say in a release or two that should be out. All right. So I wanted to go over with you guys really quickly. We're doing some initiatives here at Crelate. But one of the things you might have noticed when you logged in today is there's this big blue banner at the top that says "Help Direct the Future of Crelate," our 2019 annual survey. If you click that link, you can tell us what you want to see us build. And this is something you guys have always, we love the feedback. Any way that you're comfortable giving it to us, give it to us. This is just for some recruiters who we haven't spoken to, or larger teams where we might be talking to one or two people, but there's 30 or 40 people that we've never met. It'd be great for them to be able to just click on a link inside of Crelate and fill out some questions. talk to us about what you guys want to see us build. We always very heavily invested in the roadmap and its direction and placing things and prioritizing things. But we definitely want to. Actually, let me rephrase that. We don't want to stop hearing from you guys. So please keep the feedback coming. We're just going to try to give you other ways of providing it to us. So this form is one way. We have on our help desk, we have a community that you can come in. You guys may not know that if you go on our help desk and you look at some articles, you're able to leave feedback and you're able to leave comments and talk to one another as recruiters directly on the help desk there. So we're trying to increase the number of ways that you can get your feedback to us. With that being said, we have a number of things that we're working on currently for releases this year, and I quickly want to touch on what some of the big ones are. We want to do integrations with back office platforms. So we understand that Crelate is great as a recruitment CRM. It's a one-of-a-kind software that tracks sales and recruiting inside of the same application. But we hear from temp recruiters all the time or contract recruiters all the time that need just those back office components. They need the ability to track multiple processes inside of the same app. Maybe you do direct hire and contract recruiting and you need different workflows for them and things like that. And we also need the ability to integrate with our back office timekeeping and scheduling and things like that. So we have that is up. We want to build some integrations this year to be able to get all of that built into the app. Marketing automation is another kind of logical step for us now. We have bulk email currently. You can bulk email from inside of the app. The next release we have is going to come with an update to that. You'll be able to bulk email the way that you do now. There'll be options for Crelate subscribers to increase the number of bulk emails that they can send, as well as get a little bit of insight into what's happening with those bulk emails. So metrics, click rates, tracking in the emails. So show me who's opened and clicked a certain link. You guys are probably really familiar with this by now. A lot of marketing automation platforms have features like this. If you think about your HubSpots of the world and things like that. So a lot of that, but we want to give you that ability inside of Crelate. So imagine that I'm looking at Kyle's record here, and I have something on his record where I can see what email blasts and email campaigns that he's on, and I can see what he's done in response to those. He opened this one, he clicked on a link here, he actually told us to never email him again, and that's all reflected on his contact record there. So lots of marketing automation features. So we want to be CRM, we want to be ATS, and we want to start really building out that marketing automation feature set as well. So marketing automation and back office, two big initiatives in 2019. And I think the third big one that I can talk about is that automation. So the rules engine, to be able to create automation and workflow rules based upon things that you've configured inside of your Crelate. Said candidate goes to said stage and it updates different things in different places, or it sends an email as well as does 4 or 5 different things inside of the app. So I like to say the rules engine is pretty much an if you can dream it, you can do it type of feature. So we'll be looking forward to doing the initial launch of that and then building on it over time. Kind of our way at Crelate, we like to get a feature out. The activity forms is a good example of this. We like to get a feature out and we like to iterate on it. So we like to, give some updates on that feature and then get some feedback and then kind of build that feature out a little more. So you'll see we won't be changing anything about that process when it comes to back office marketing automation and the rules engine. We also have some other powerful features in the works, things like semantic search. So if you've ever used some search platforms or Google's a good example of this, when Google says, hey, we've also included results for something else, or did you mean to say, right? So imagine I'm looking for a Java developer and I have options on the right that I can click through for adding Java engineer and different things to that search. So semantics-based search, that's coming. Actually, that's coming pretty soon. That'll probably be on our next webinar. All right. I don't like to go too far into kind of the what's coming, but I want to keep you guys in the loop. Click on that link on the top of your Crelate today. Fill out that form. Let us know what you guys want to see us build. If it's integrations, we're always developing new relationships with integrations partners. We'd love to hear from some of the softwares that you think it would be beneficial for us to integrate with, or just things you wish we could do. We love that kind of feedback. Please keep it coming. All right, and just in closing, we're also doing in the vein of feedback. You can always rate us online if you never have before. Go to Software Advice, go to G2 Crowd, go to GitApp, drop us a quick review. Let us know how we're doing. We love hearing the feedback as well there. We love gathering as a team and going over it together and looking at the areas in which we can improve and looking at the areas in which we're performing well. So please feel free to drop us a line there. Also, any of the social media avenues. Post to our post to our Facebook page or our LinkedIn page. Drop us a line there or tweet at Crelate. The other thing that we're doing is we're doing a marketing initiative now for case studies. And this benefits us as a company and you guys as a company. Get some exposure out there with your company name. But if you've had a great experience with Crelate, you want to do a couple interviews and talk about it, we can partner you with some of the members of our marketing team. We can make that happen. With the ones that we've done so far, it's been a very positive experience. We get to hear about really cool things that you're using Crelate for, and we get to talk about that on our website and some social outlets, and it also promotes you guys in your business. So please, if you're interested in something like that, drop any one of us a line. We'll connect you with the right people. Okay, before I close up, Ian, any questions on the right-hand side of the screen there?
No, I think we are good. For those, obviously I tried to run through as many questions as I could. If I couldn't get to your request right away, we'll try to follow up afterwards. You can always reach out to us at support@crelate.com, of course, as well.
Yes, please. Let us know if you guys need anything at all. Contact us in the app. Send any one of us an email. As always, we're happy to help. Again, hope you guys are having a safe, happy, and successful new year. Please let us know what Crelate can do for you guys in 2019, and we look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a great one.